Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365, with your daily update for today, which is Tuesday, June 22nd. It is a beautiful, cool day outside, and it's a very beautiful day in terms of our COVID numbers. We'll talk through these COVID numbers, which are just pretty unmitigated good news. And then after the break, Rob Dees will join us. He's a hip hop artist here in Madison, producer, rapper, just overall sort of music community leader. And he and some other folks have put together this incredible sounding concert series that starts next week. So we're going to hear from him about that after the break, and then we'll have some other local news as well. Today, it's a Tuesday, which is normally, like in the past, Tuesday is when we see the kind of the higher numbers. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is where we see the higher numbers in terms of new cases, new deaths, right? Today, 78 new cases. That's the lowest we've seen on a Tuesday in a long time. 3 new fatalities. The state is reporting 1 new fatality, so the other 2 are probably older, like happened longer ago and are just now being confirmed in the data. That 78 new cases is out of 1,251 tests. Those are new test results, the first time negative or first time positive. So that's a lot of people testing negative. Still, for people to be testing negative for the first time a year and a half later, and there's aren't that many people probably who've never been tested yet, right? But to only have 78 of those positive is great. But the best news of all, the 7-day positive test rate of all the tests, all the repeated tests that happened in the past 7 days, 0.7% were positive. That's remarkably low. That is the lowest we've seen. It was 0.8 yesterday, 0.9 the day before that. So it just keeps going down and down and down, which is terrific news. That is a massive sigh of relief for me. It doesn't mean the thing's over, right? We still have the concern about Delta variant, which CDC thinks might begin to evade vaccine, which would be a problem. We still have a lot of folks who haven't been vaccinated. We still have a lot of people who have like immune deficiencies that the vaccine isn't going to work for them very well. So there's a lot of stuff still out there, but overall, this news is really, really good. 0.7%. Vaccines, continues to be slow. About 10,000 new doses given per day. Looks like only about less than 7,000 doses reported since yesterday. That's not very many at all. We are now Milwaukee County did pass 400,000 people have completed the vaccine in Milwaukee County. That's still only 42.4% of the population, whereas statewide that is 45.4%. So Milwaukee County not very far behind the rest of the state. They are way behind Dane County, though. Dane County is 62.5% completed, which is kind of way ahead of the rest of the state. But, there's kind of some privilege there, right? So I think, that's brief. It's a brief COVID update, but there's really not much more to say. I mean, the news on COVID is very, very good. We do have one sort of fun COVID related story. We'll get to in the second half. But for now, what we'll do is let's take an early break. We'll hear from a sponsor, and we will be back on the other side with my interview with Rob Dees, and then we'll have some additional local and statewide news right on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. Give me 30 seconds. Okay, I'll be right back with Rob Dees. Rob Dees if you don't know Rob Dees, stick around for this interview. He's an awesome guy to listen to, and we'll be back right after this.
Here in the Midwest, community is important.
Having a healthcare system that's looking out for us,
That's actively addressing the racial disparities in healthcare is important.
When we can get good quality care,
We can do more. We can achieve more.
we can be the kind of community we want to be, and that's really important.
UW Health. Remarkable medicine. Remarkable care.
And joining the program today, Rob Franklin, better known to many of you as Rob D's. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay, man. How are you?
All right, we're doing good. Now, you're here today to talk about something called Mad Lit. We have the feature story about that by our reporter Angela Ussery, who you talked to earlier, is up at Madison365.org as of Wednesday morning. So more information there, but we want to talk about it right here. Tell us what is Mad Lit, first of all.
So Mad Lit is an 8-week event series that we're doing. It starts on Friday, July 2nd, and it runs through October 8th. It will be every other Friday from 8 to 11. Basically, Mad Lit is an event series that centers around music, visual art, and small business pop-ups, featuring all acts and artists and businesses of color, as much as we can. So
Awesome.
that is the primary focus.
And you say we are doing it. Who's we? Who's behind this?
This is a part of the Greater Madison Music City Project, which is kind of the second wave of what started off originally as the Task Force for Equity and Entertainment. So this is kind of the next phase of that. It's creating an ecosystem here in town to really provide more access for acts of color. One of the things is, as fortunate as blessed as I am to be able to get on stages around town, there's so many other artists of color that don't get that opportunity. So we are kind of trying to make it a point to create this ecosystem to provide more opportunities for those that aren't in that mainstream Madison musician circle.
So who are some of those artists that you're excited to kind of showcase and kind of bring out to more people?
I'm excited about the entire series. So, we can start with the first week is R&B. It is Sammy and Jay Vocal. I grew up with Jay Vocal, actually. He's an R&B singer from Beloit, moved to Milwaukee by way of Nashville. So he'll be coming back for that. Also, Crown Vic will be playing. We have Orchestra South Soul the second week. We have Natty Nation the third week. The Adem Test Fave Band the fourth week. We have a spoken word comedy showcase, DJ night, and we also have a reggaeton with Ray Cruz and Almighty from the 8. And we're gonna close it out with Super Friends, Marcus Porter, and Juicy Monroe. So
that is a stacked lineup, but a lineup that a lot of folks maybe haven't heard of, and so they're going to get some additional exposure to some new artists they haven't known, which is awesome. Now, it sounds like in some of the previous conversations that you've had about this, it sounds like this kind of grew out of the whole movement last year, the COVID and everybody having to be apart, and then all the protests last year. So what can you talk about how that's all kind of tied into this?
Man, it's really kind of crazy, man, because obviously during COVID, we couldn't really go out, and for me, I tried to make my traveling as short as possible. Well, I live on State Street, so I would go downstairs to 107 State, which is a restaurant. And during the time of the protest, we're looking at all the art and all the things, and we're saying how dope it is. And I was talking with Nate, the owner, and he was like, what would be kind of cool is if we had some lights up on State Street. And I was like, yeah, and that's kind of how the conversation started. And then we started talking about what could we do. And obviously when we started thinking about the lights, I started looking at things like the murals and just figuring like, how could we keep making our presence felt in downtown? And I noticed, at least for me, like I said, I've been a resident on State Street for 7 years, and there was a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation when the murals were up. And for me, it was important to try to create something to make sure that those conversations didn't stop, that they didn't, stop. And I wanted to continue to have that. So for me, my wheelhouse is music. So that's where it kind of started. I went and reached out to people that I knew, and they were definitely down to contribute to the cause. and then it grew bigger, and we started thinking about how can we include the artists, some of the artists that are involved in these murals, and now that the murals are coming down, and then again, until we're looking at vacant spots on State Street. How do we get businesses of color? Like, it's one thing that I said to Angelica. I was like, you can't really have a thriving downtown if it's not an inclusive downtown, and your city's not going to thrive if your downtown is not thriving. So, what better time to really push the envelope of being truly inclusive and having everybody kind of make this a vibe. So that's really what it came from, man. Just wanting to create a zone and a space where we all can interact, people from different walks of life. When I say that we're featuring acts of color, that don't mean it's just going to be people of color. We want everybody to be down there, and we want people to learn how to communicate with each other. We're entering a new norm. So let's enter it together, and let's really, start having these conversations and vibing and really making some progress. Madison claims to be a progressive town, but let's progress together. So
is that part of, like, a lot of people talk about going back to normal, and maybe normal wasn't what we wanted it to be, right? Maybe we can come back out of this whole pandemic thing to a world that's better, right? And we can make it better, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, like, like I said, we're coming into this new norm, and we're entering a new phase socially already anyway. I mean, you can go from George Floyd to this moment, and there's been a lot of change that's been happening. So it's like, at least for me, like I said, I know music is my wheelhouse. So how can I contribute my love to spread love? You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was kind of the intent, and that was the idea. And everyone has been great as far as, coming in and being able to contribute and offer what they can offer. Teamwork makes the dream work. So I'm definitely appreciative of the fact that we are coming together for the sake of coming together.
Yeah. So tell me, like, where is this happening, and is it, you're charging admission? Is it free?
It is on the top of State Street, the 100 block of State Street.
Cool.
We are shutting down the entire 100 block of State Street.
Nice.
So it's right there. It's free. It's open to the public. It's all ages. Like I said, it goes every other Friday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Awesome. And you talk about local small businesses also. What's the story there? Are they're gonna have like booths and stuff, or what's that?
Part of what we're doing is over the entire 8-week series, we want to feature 32 small businesses. So we'll do four vendors per week. We have everything from clothing to literature to essentials, essential products, and everybody will get a chance to be around. And one of the coolest things is that we're actually able to give honorariums to the small business just for being a part of it.
Oh,
so
really?
so that's definitely a thing. And it's like, for me, it's like your contribution is coming out and sharing your gift and your passion and your love. So we have to at least show you love just for being able to do that. So I'm pretty excited about it. We had a chance to collaborate with a lot of different places: Black Chamber of Commerce, Synergy Co-working, Tara Wilhelmy from Each One Teach One LLC. Got some help from Brandy Grayson from Urban Triage to get some vendors involved. So it's been a community effort, man, and that's been a blessing.
Outstanding. Sounds like a lot of fun. Once again, Madison365.org. Wednesday morning, we'll have the entire lineup, so you can, download it, print it out, put it on your fridge, so you don't forget to go to one of these. Sounds like a great time. And Rob, thanks so much for being with us today.
Man, thanks for having me, man. It's lit.
And thank you to Rob Franklin for joining us. We did not coordinate wardrobe. We didn't talk beforehand about matching shirts at all. So also in the news today, again, that story, Angelica Ussery did an article on that Mad Lib program and that series, and it's going to be up tomorrow morning. I'll remind you tomorrow to take a look and make sure you get the whole schedule for that. Should be a lot of fun. Also in the news today, Madison Community Foundation is working with Dane County to distribute about $5 million of grant funding from the federal government to nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits got a lot of help early on in the pandemic last year, then had to turn around and distribute that money to other people. So and then the economy, of course, is, limping along. So a lot of nonprofits have been having a hard time this year, and they've got $5 million available. If you run a nonprofit, go to that Madison365.org. There's a link there to how to apply for a piece of that funding. Also today, LeVar Charleston, formerly VW Whitewater, currently VW Madison, has been named the Chief Diversity Officer at the University of Wisconsin. This is a vice chancellor level position, previously held by Patrick Sims, and most recently on an interim basis by Dr. Cheryl Gittens. LeVar Charleston will take over that role on August 2nd. We just sort of ran a basic announcement here. We're going to have one of our reporters have a conversation with him and get a bit more in depth in the next couple of weeks. Fun story out of Metcalf's Market. This is, Metcalf's a sponsor of the show. This is not part of their sponsorship. This is just a really cool story, I thought. This is actually from CNN. Like, this got national attention. But they've got these social bands, the wristband. When you go to the store, if you don't want people near you, you grab a red band. If you're a little bit less strict, if you still want to, you can still do elbow bumps or whatever, within 6 feet, grab a yellow one. If you're fully vaccinated, fully comfortable with people, grab a green one. I think it just seems smart to me that, there's less awkwardness. If you see somebody with the red band on, they're either not vaccinated or they're just not comfortable or whatever. It's cool. Like, I think this just kind of lowers the social anxiety that we're all kind of feeling right now. Finally, today, President Joe Biden will be in Wisconsin on Tuesday, along with Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack. We'll be talking about rural economy and agriculture and issues related to those topics. All right, that is all the news for today. I hope you have a wonderful evening. It is should be pretty decent tonight and tomorrow. It's a little bit cool, not too hot. So enjoy it. And I'll be back here with the It's Only 10 Minutes podcast tomorrow morning. And I'll be back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock with your daily update for Wednesday. Have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you soon.
This is 365 Media.